Today, I'm gonna be doing something a little bit different that I haven't done for the channel yet, and that is that I am going to be reviewing a diorama. So, a couple of weeks ago, one of the members from the Dial group, Scott, and I think it's pronounced Hedstrom. It might be Heatstrom, but it's Scott, Hedstrom. Had contacted me and he wanted to know how much I charge him uh, for me to do some graffiti on one of his dials. So generally, I that was a good question. I've never done that before. I've never had somebody ask me to just do graffiti. For the obvious reasons, logistically, they would have to send the dial to me, and we'd have to figure that out. So he contacted me. He's like, how much would you charge me? And so um, I told him I wouldn't charge him anything. Just send the dial over, and I'll do the graffiti, and just send me some cash so I can ship it back to you. Ship it back to him. So, graffiti is something I've been doing for over 20 years of my life. It's almost become effortless, especially in terms of, or I shouldn't say effortless, but effortless for this style of graffiti, for like the alleyway. We call that is a throw up. That is the tag. So, for this style, for throw up and tags, it's pretty easy enough for me to just do it. So, I wasn't going to charge them anything. And I'm also a strong believer in community, man. I think, each of us are all individually living our lives in our own home state, hometown, our own apartment, houses, family members around, and so forth. And we're working, we're students, we do all types of things in all walks of life. And at the end of the day, what connects us is the fact that we have love for this hobby. So, community is something that's kind of been instilled in me. It's been, part of what I've done as a profession for 20 years of my life, and just who I am. So, any way I can help the community, I'm always willing to help. Scott gave me the opportunity to do this, and actually, I was, kind of thankful. So I'm real thankful that he was willing to send this to me and trust me with his dial, and know that I would take care of it and rock it out and send it back to him. So then at some point I thought, you know what? I should review it. I should review. People are reviewing action figures and reviewing a whole bunch of other stuff. So why not review a dial? But then I kind of started thinking about it, and when you review anything, what you do is you kind of give it, give the viewer the highlights, and you also kind of give them the lowlights. Stuff that you feel could be better. And I think the so looking at it that way in terms of reviewing this dial, I didn't like the word review because it implies that I'm gonna kind of give you my 2 cents on how it could have been better. And really, at the end of the day, this is an individual person's artwork. This is their interpretation of a loading dock. Whether they did it through research or freestyle, off the head, what have you, it's still their artwork. So I think it's unfair to sit here and say, well, this could be better, and this could, and so forth. So what instead is I'm going to give my opinion. I'm going to give my opinion on this dial, and my opinion on what I would have done differently. And that is not to say that it is not an amazing dial as it stands right now. And there's a lot of great things about it. And only a couple of, again, gripes. I'll use that word, but just because it falls within the context of reviewing something. So although I don't want to look at it as a review, that's what it's about. It's a review. So I'm just going to go through it and kind of give you the dimensions and get close-ups on some of the things he did. And I thought it came out pretty cool, pretty good. So first and foremost, it is 24 inches across. Because the walls are 1 inch, or the foam board itself is 1 inch thick, the play space, or the space inside, is 22 inches. The height is 12 inches, and it's 13 inches deep. I believe 13 or 14 inches deep. It is made out of insulation foam board, the entire thing. The only thing that is not is the balsa wood that he did, that he used to kind of the border of both doors, the one on the right hand side and the roll up grate on the left hand side. I think the windows up here are prefab, so I think he bought them that way. And so pretty much, yeah, so we're looking at insulation foam board, balsa wood, and then he used those straws that we're all using for pipes these days. So anyway, let's get into it. So first and foremost, I think it's kind of cool that he has, and you know what, I'm just going to take these guys out of, I just wanted to leave them there for scale, but I kind of like the fact that he did the extended dock. I hadn't seen it, I don't think I've seen it done like this. I know I've never done one like this. I've done some docks, but they've been a little bit different, and usually it's shorter, but he kind of did it throughout the length of the dial, which I thought was a real good call. He has some cement steps going in there, and some real cool texture in terms of the dirt, and then he has some moss growing there. Again, the windows are prefab, and he just stuck them in there, cut out the space and stuck them in there. He does have you know, again, the do-it-yourself straws. He did include a real cool you know, like a little canopy type thing. And then I thought this was also a real cool touch. Just kind of having this and being able to place it. You know, he kind of set it, he did put some moss there so that, you know, to set it there, but it doesn't necessarily have to stay there. He also hooked up a real nice little section where you can easily see somebody breaking through that wall, somebody kind of pushing somebody onto this main floor. So that was a real nice touch. So, you know, for me, dials have to have a lot of different dimensions. You have to be able to take pictures from a lot of different angles, and you know, when you can accomplish that, you know, in my opinion, you've got a successful dial, because again, it just allows you to do so many different things from so many different angles. So this is definitely one of those dials that he can take you know, numerous pictures on. He still hasn't used, it's still raw, so in other words, the sealer, and I'm assuming the sealer hasn't been used. That's obviously because he was sending it to me, and the graffiti I was going to be putting on there is paint, some of it's acrylic, so he's probably going to add the sealer when he receives it. So yeah, so overall I thought it came out pretty good. And now here's some of the things that I would have done to enhance it a little bit. Again, just my opinion. Any way you look at it, it's a great piece of art. The first thing I noticed is that the floor, he added no texture to the floor. So if you look carefully, you can see the factory lines going through. And for the most part, although streets look pretty smooth, if you put your hand over a city street, it's a lot of imperfections. It's you know, it's so, you know, I always try to bang out the floor to never leave it smooth, just because I think the smooth look, or rather the rough look, I think gives it a better look in pictures. I like that he did this. Definitely real cool. Another thing that I probably would have done is I would have made it a little taller. One of the things that happens when you do these kind of multi-level dials is that, so for example, Star-Lord, who's just a 6-inch figure, I can put him here, and there's not much room, you know, so I can do some angle shots, but not too many. So I would have just probably done that back piece. Maybe, you know, I think he went 12 inches tall. I probably would have went to 16. Just adding those 4 extra inches I thought would have definitely helped in terms of getting some different angles from the top and from the bottom. And again, that's just my approach as a action figure photographer. What else did I see? For the most part, these, usually, and so now now one of my favorite dial makers is EJ, and what I love about EJ is that he's all about making things look authentic. So definitely some bumpers were needed here, and it's a suggestion. Actually, I've done these type dials with docks, and I haven't put the bumpers in, and EJ has hit me up and be like, yo dude, you really should put the bumpers because it's definitely going to add to the realism. So some bumpers here would have been cool, so then the truck is backing up, it won't damage the cement, and also it would have been a black bumper, so it's a great color contrast, and it would have matched with that, and I thought that would have been a good look. These stairs, generally, I shouldn't even say generally, I've definitely seen docks that have cement stairs. I would have chosen to go with a different style, maybe something, and again, the degree of difficulty is different for everybody. And it's 3 steps. I would have attempted to just do something more metal, like more like I've seen some docks. There's a dock at my job that the steps are kind of metal and hanging off of the dock itself. But again, it's still a good look. But if he would have done it in metal, again, it would have given it. They would have been black, so it just would have matched with that border, matched with the bumpers, and just give it some more symmetry within the color scheme. The brickwork I thought came out really, really good. Absolutely no complaints. It's a little bit different style than the way I do my bricks. And I actually like his better. I actually like Scott's bricks better. So definitely nothing there. Yeah, I don't know. I think that's about it. The door came out really, really good. You know what? Let me just take this off just so we can get better lighting. Yeah, door came out great. His rust effects came out really, really solid. He didn't have to put, at first I was like, oh man, that would have looked really good with the border up top, but he didn't have to put the border because the canopy kind of rests on there, so that works out. I noticed too that you can adjust it a little bit, but even in adjusting it, you can still see a little bit of brick, which again, it's consistent with the way the brick is falling off. I just probably would have not exposed that. I would just make it gray all the way through, so that same thing in that corner. But again, that doesn't mean that he did it wrong. It's just how I would have done it. And I definitely like some of the texture that he used. Looks really good. Yeah, man. But overall, I don't know. I think at the end, people usually just kind of give it their 1 to 10 or whatever. I think it's a really, really solid dial. Hoping that he dirties this up a little bit more. Looks a little too clean. I don't know. Overall, if 10 is the ultimate O-gun type dial, then this is definitely up there in the probably 7. I'd give it a 7 out of 10. Overall, he executed very well. Could have added a couple of things that would have enhanced it a little bit, and it's not too late. He can always do that. Yeah, man, and there goes my first review of a dial. And again, I completely understand that at the end of the day, this is just art from one person. It's his interpretation. So I've always been big on not criticizing, and I hope it didn't come off that way. I just wanted to kind of lend my opinion to a really solid build. So real quick, let's just kind of do the taking apart of the dial, and he also kind of did those pipes. I didn't really show that, which is kind of cool. That one's just broken off, and then the other two, I hadn't seen anybody use that style, so that was a real cool style, by the way. Good job on that style. But yeah, fully magnetized. Here's one wall. 2 walls. The stairs are solid, so it's just solid piece, so it's the best way to do it. And just the railing on the side. He actually also created dip in for the railing, which is great. Yeah, so at the end of the day, after everything is stacked up, no taller than a 6-inch figure. And that added slamp, obviously, the longest is 24 inches across. So, yeah, man, overall, a great build. And if you want to see more of Scott's work and more work from some really amazing dial makers, go on to Facebook and look up the group Dial Structure. And you're gonna be blown away. Some just amazing work. I mean, one of the funny things about making dials is that I actually, for the most part, versus being a graffiti writer, when I would do a piece and then walk away from it and look at the wall and say, I don't like it, and that happened 90% of the time. With most dials, when I finish a dial, I'm usually what I had envisioned is usually what I create, and which is kind of amazing to me. So for the most part, I can step back and be like, "Yo, that came out pretty solid." So, and I think some of the dial makers in the group are better than me. You know what I mean? So if I'm feeling that my dials are pretty good, and you guys are feeling my dials are pretty good, you got to check out the group, man. There's some just amazing, amazing guys in that group. All right, y'all, and I am out. Peace.